My name is Miley Miller.
My name is Maya Lopez.
My name is Abigail Soppy.
All right. Does anyone want to go first?
I'll let you go first. We reached out multiple times to Chloe and she never responded back to us. And we have sent out emails and I contacted you and you said just go ahead and start without her. So we all sent out emails to her. She never responded to any of us. So we have started without her. I'll let one of you guys go first.
And we're each gonna do like both of our pieces first, and then the next person goes. I guess I can go ahead and start. Okay, so my first piece from the Axis side, which is the side that we are against, is this German piece, which I'm not even gonna try and pronounce. But it basically translates from English to smash the enemies of Greater Germany. It is a live action photo of a hand smashing people from the UK, and it gives a sense of power from a hand being able to squish people, and you can see because there's the UK flag. The main emotions that are drawn from this artwork are feelings of empowerment and from what can be seen as the enemy hurting someone else, or from the other side, the main side hurting their bad side. My interpretation of this is that since the UK was obviously on the other side of these claims, I would only assume that people would view this piece as something comical from our side. Whereas the main goals from Germans from this work of art was to influence the other people to join the war by making violence look appealing and make it look more rewarding, giving someone like a sense of empowerment. I actually do think that art made from propaganda can still be considered art since someone took the time to come up with it and they used their own creativity to make it. Even though it encourages violence and war, some satirical works of art that were made then and now are still deemed of critical reviews. And from the ally side, I did Rosie the Riveter, or it's titled We Can Do It, featuring Rosie the Riveter. It portrays a woman flexing her muscles in order to show signs of strength from a woman's point of view, and the colors and quality of this picture definitely give it like an older, like retro look to it. And I don't know if like anyone would understand this like reference, but it reminds me of like those old Coca-Cola paintings. The biggest emotion that I feel like is portrayed from this is encouragement to get women to become enlisted, because they needed a lot of jobs that needed filled, like being a nurse or a mechanic. And this was really important because it shaped the way that our political side glamorized the role of women being in political fields. And it's a lot more normalized today because of that. And I think that this artwork is definitely portrayed as something of value, and it is motivational art. And today you see a lot more of these kind of artworks, especially in like a guidance counselor's office where it looks more motivational. And they are seen a lot more today as they were back then. And I think that the main differences between these two works of art is that one, that is the German piece of art, this one, gives off a more egocentric feeling, whilst Rosie the Riveter provides a more motivational theme. Like, I feel like they were trying to make someone feel big and powerful by joining the army instead of feeling like they were actually doing something that was good. And I feel like this also says that the only goal from being part of the German army is to defeat the enemy, whereas the other side encourages personal strength and reasoning as to why someone like a woman should join the war. And yeah, those are my two artworks.
I could go next. Give me a quick moment. All right, are you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, so this first one that I chose is from the ally side. The more women at work, the sooner we win. I think the biggest strategy used here is the wording, especially during a time where women weren't necessarily front and center. This kind of gives them more encouragement to kind of stand up more and be a part of the country in a way that they were shunned out before in the 1940s. I think because she's wearing red, it attracts the eye to her as like the main subject. And how it shows down here, the amount of job opportunities that they can have instead of just being known as a housewife for the 1940s. I also think that this specific propaganda poster, um, it, the emotions I think that someone who was seeing it would be getting would be pride and unity. It would kind of break that social, I guess, social climate of women not being a part of the war or women being more a part of the war than what they had previously been in, say, World War One. It kind of encourages the country to really be united as one to go against the Axis. And I believe that propaganda posters can still be considered art, considering that they are still made to have people feel a type of way, I guess, whether they want to go for their country against their country, for a certain social class or something like that. It still brings the feeling of there's still a message to convey behind it. For my second poster, I chose Bending Spines. I think this one, Hitler being the main subject, along with these wings in the back, what looks like could possibly be a bird, and then with a bunch of people kind of just following him, I think it could have given a sense that he looks more of like a god figure in a way, that he is someone you should look up to and someone who you should follow essentially. Um, the wording, it's very bold, catches the eye immediately, and it kind of shows that like it kind of makes the viewer think that there are a lot of people following him and that he is seen as a higher being and therefore you should follow him as well. I think it brings on a sense of duty and a sense of pride, as in if you follow him, you're going to be along with these, you're going to be a follower along with many of these other people, and you won't be the only one. And I think that could have given, I think it could have been a message sent to a variety of individuals, whether they were men, women, or even children. It would have given them a sense that they could have been a part of, like, really a part of the Axis with the way that he's conveyed here. He doesn't look like the bad guy that the Allies portrayed him as. He looks like a higher being, like a god almost. Especially with the lighting in the background kind of shining down on him, which emphasizes him further. And I believe that's all I have to say about these two.
We'll go. Hold on. How did you share your screen? How do you share your screen?
At the bottom, there's like
Yeah,
where
click
it
one.
says participants in
Yeah.
chat and all that.
Yeah,
There's a
click
share.
more.
Oh, and then share?
Yeah, and then you can choose whatever windows you'd like to showcase.
Oh, I don't know. Okay, wait.
We can see your screen.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, it wouldn't go at first. We're having chaos over here. Okay, so, okay, mine's on my phone, so it's gonna sit right there. So I did my first one is the Allied poster, which is the loose lips Mike sink ships. And then the visual strategy, I thought that it focuses like heavily, like the text is pretty much the main focus. Like it's very, like the font is very simple to read. It's very like large. It's clear. It focuses on the main point. It's like right in the center. It's bold. It's hard to miss. And then the image of the sinking ship obviously is also a large factor. Like it just draws your attention right to the center for that one. The dark colors change the tone to like show the damage. So when you think of red, you think of like kind of caution, I feel like, and the blue kind of shows the water. So I feel like it kind of showed the strip, like the what the people expected. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the symbolism is like where the ship is. So people often do like big vessels as of like that one as military. So they were thinking like, oh, military, blow up, ocean, that's kind of Navy right there. And then sinking the ship. So the word like loose lips is like the careless talking. So like standing out, like just saying like things that would make other people judge you. So sort of like just the clutter of it. The fear and the responsibility that comes with it. And then like for the meaning of it, that also is the fear and responsibility that talking too much can lead to like consequences. So like ships being destroyed is kind of how I saw it. People dying. And then another like thing I think of kind of that probably people didn't was it makes like the people, like the civilians, have like a feeling that they're playing a role as well because they have an importance to be quiet as well. The cultural context was people are worried about spies in World War. People were worried about the like spies in the time, so they knew they had to keep quiet and just like stay on edge, even keeping quiet in very public places. And then I did like this posters. Yes, this poster is still considered art because it's using the design, the symbolism, all of the key components we put art with. And then but rather than like to like show and have people like see it, we consider it more as like as to give a message and deliver.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then for my second one, the Access poster is the one of Hitler with the flag. And then I talked about how like it's like very dramatic. It's very like the composition of it is just dramatic. And like how Adolf Hitler is placed at the center. I'm pretty sure he's on the back of a horse. It looks like he's on the back of a horse. It's like I'm not sure, but I think he's on the back of a horse. And that type of thing like shows power. And then the red flag is standing out because the background is just a solid white. So that's kind of showing like the hero, I would say, like the hero aspect of it, but it's showing like a symbol for a figure, a historical figure. And then the message I put, it's kind of like encouraging viewers to see him as somebody who's strong, trustworthy, a leader instead of like fearing him, which this particular for me, it focused more on respect than anything. The cultural context for me was just how art was used to support the government and people in a more heroic way rather than like the things that were truly happening. And then for ethics, I did this piece of art. It's still a piece of art because it's delivering that message. However, it's kind of problematic because just of what it stands for and like how the purpose and message affects everything in the judging. And that's all I have for mine.
Okay, we still have a little bit of time left. So I've written down a couple questions that we could kind of discuss, I guess. Okay. These are just some ones I found that I thought were pretty good. Can propaganda ever be justified, or is it inherently misleading and unethical?
Oh, I think it's misleading and unethical all of the time, but I think it also depends on what people believe and how easily you're influenced. Because I feel like as of now, Like for mine, as of now, obviously we know that Hitler was a bad person, but
Yeah.
in the very beginning, people kind of could have saw him as like somebody he hadn't done anything bad then, if that makes sense.
I feel
I
like
strongly agree with that.
propaganda, it really romanticizes what you're getting ready to go into. But you talk to
Mhm.
people who were in World War II, and the way that they describe it, it makes it sound like they were really like going through it. Like,
Yeah.
which explains why so many people today have like PTSD. But all these posters would make me think like, oh yeah, I could totally do that.
Especially in like with the things they did, it kind of I feel like shows the desperate times they were at. Like the
Oh
things
yeah.
they
Like they were
were
really
doing.
like manipulating people so much by being like, oh, like no, this is like a really good thing to do. You're gonna feel so good about yourself, like you're gonna feel powerful. But
And they were looking for
yeah,
anything.
you never knew if you're gonna come home dead or alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that too, especially because World War II is kind of like you didn't exactly have so much of a choice whether to join or
Mhm.
not. And I think even people who were part of the Axis, like those Axis soldiers, a lot of them didn't know what they were getting themselves into, and a lot of them weren't aware of everything that was happening and kind of like the crimes that were going on. I think um, the posters heavily romanticize the war, and they probably made individuals feel as though it wasn't as dangerous as they initially could have thought it was, because the messages are conveying unity, pride. If you fight for
Mhm.
your country, you make a name for yourself. If you fight for your country, it's like you're recognized more. It's like
You're a
you care
hero.
about the country. And I think that was very strong around that time, was like if you care strongly about your country, you kind of had a higher name for yourself
Yeah.
because of all of the war that like the war atrocities that were happening, and kind of like
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of like along the lines of that.
But I think it's really funny because back then, like going to the war and like being able to come back, like that was like a big thing. Like you like survived
Mhm.
World War II, you made this whole name for yourself, you're a hero. But I feel like as we've descended, like it's not as big of a deal as it used to be. It's like, oh, you were in World War II? Cool, I guess.
Yeah,
So I feel
I feel
like,
like in the
yeah, there was a lot more importance about it back then.
even like people don't even consider the long-term effects. Like, oh, you were a
No.
hero then, but like now you're
Yeah.
barely able to survive. Like even I
right.
kind of is like homeless. Like you see so many homeless on the street that are always veteran or like just because of just the things I feel like they endured. Like the
Hmm.
people didn't
Yeah.
realize then what would actually happen.
Yeah, because it's so
Mhm.
weird today. Because you'll even meet people who like served in like the army or the navy for so and so years, but they're not really recognized for it because it's more like, again, it's more romanticized to even join it today.
Yeah.
Like the amount of people that will just go straight from high school into like the army or the Air Force, but
Right.
they still don't get like the
Yeah.
recognition that they probably deserve.
I also think it's just like another one of those moments where it's the higher people, the ones who have the power, it takes the focus off of them, I guess. In well, outside of Hitler's case,
Hmm.
and kind of puts that attention more on the people, especially like women who were not recognized very often then, and the war could give them something outside of being a housewife to do.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more question written on here, and it says, propaganda was a big deciding factor on how some people lived their lives. How does propaganda affect us today, whether it is art or not? Social media.
I agree. I was actually just gonna say that. I think social media plays a huge part in that, as in like,
It's so
me-
weird. Yeah.
yeah, it's like as soon as someone sees something,
Yeah.
it's kind of like the truth. There's not a lot of background checking and whatnot.
I feel like
Especially
instead of being an artist, now like the big thing is being an influencer because instead of art
Mhm.
influencing people, influencers, which is like a full-time profession now, influence people, obviously. But I think it's still so crazy that we are still so easily affected by like what we see with our eyes and we're like, okay, yeah, like this is what I'm gonna do. Like What's that like
100%.
saying? Like, never an original thought.
I feel like people, especially like, okay, back then they would see all of these like things coming in, like posters, and you'd be like, oh, I know that's not. But like, you just, like, in nowadays, you see it and you see how many people, like, when you're walking by posters on the street, you don't know how many people interact with it,
Oh,
and you
yeah,
don't know anything.
no.
On social media, you can be like, oh, well,
Mhm.
42 billion people saw this, like,
Yeah.
okay, it's influence from there.
It's a little
Right.
easier to ignore it now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think
I looked it up on the internet and it said that, like, yes, these propaganda posters that we had discussed today, they were plastered like everywhere, inside schools, in like
Oh,
common
God.
like lobby areas. They were everywhere. So people obviously,
Yeah, but
kind of like our phones, like the second you open your phone or
Mhm.
the second you look in the street back then is the first thing that you would see.
Yeah, but I think like the difference really in today's world is like you see the statistics. So you see the amount of people who react with the
Yeah.
post, like the post comment, versus like back then you just saw people walking by it.
Yeah.
I also think, like, in regards of how fast the information travels, because of our modern technology, we could learn about things from across the world in just a matter of minutes. Whereas back then, it was more like newspapers had to come out for that, and that information took longer to get access to.
Like
Yeah.
Abigail was saying, I think that it really does depend on statistics because instead of like someone could be like taking their daily walk to work around World War II and they would see the poster and they would decide for themselves, like, okay, I'm gonna do World War II. But now whenever we decide something, it's because someone else like made it
Mm-hmm.
popular. Like it was a popular like decision that like Abigail said, like 42 million people had already made, and you're just another one of those people instead of it being like a personal decision of yours.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, we are at 22 minutes. Do you want to go?
It's telling me that we only have a few minutes left.